Good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning. Before we start, I worked on my room a lot yesterday. After we finished. Where can I put this? Right here. I found an old Flow magazine. I don't know what year this is, though. Oh my God. Look at these dogs. $2018. Not too bad. It was in my quilting books. Because that's where you would put your Flow magazine. I'm a bad stasher. I stash things everywhere. But it's dusty. I found this. This is a what kind of quilt block is that? Dresden plate. My grandmother made my mom by hand the entire quilt, a Dresden plate quilt, and put a lot of yellow in it. And this was like an homage to my grandmother. And the yellow is something I try to put in a lot of quilts. But we had when I was still in that art group on Mondays, we had a display at a local bank and in the lobby. But then they decided that it was violating people's privacy. I don't know. But anyhow, one time I put all my quilts. I was the display of the quarter. And they were all little quilts, one big quilt. But I had to come up with like an artist statement. So this is what I wrote. Having been told all my life magenta was my first word. Now this is for a quilt display, don't forget. Was my first word. I was destined to be influenced by lots of bold shades of color. I was also fortunate enough to have inherited two grandmother's talents and love for sewing. Sewing since childhood has led me down the path of quilting. Nothing compares to a bright piece of fabric, cutting it into small pieces and pairing it to another small shape, creating large blocks, then sewing those large blocks into a warm quilt or even a tiny version of a quilt to hang on a wall. The growth of technology has given me the ability to meet quilting friends all over the world, acquiring fabric from all over the world, and that makes my world a better place. Beth Allen. That was my artist statement. I feel the same way about paper. My mother always told everybody my first word was magenta. She told me that. She told family, other people, always. I'm like, Mother, magenta. I doubt if my first word was 3 syllables, but that was my artist statement for quilting. So I'm going to put it up someplace instead of having it between my quilt magazines up on top of a cabinet. All right, I got to cut out today's number. We're on project or day 8 in this journal. And I got to put this someplace. Today, speaking of quilting, that leads right into who we're doing. K-Facet. Now, if you're a quilter or a lover of fabric of any kind, modern quilting fabric, basically, although he does other stuff too. He's also a very famous knitter and a very famous, seems like he does one other thing. He paints all the fabric and then they send that off to China. And that's how they make their fabric lines, which I think these days you have to have like 3 releases a year, at least 2. So he's constantly creating a book, which I think I have 30 now of his books, which I told myself I wasn't going to buy anymore, but then he did one. I don't know. He usually releases one a year in the fall. Don't ask me how I know that. But anyhow, this is one he did. It is called K-Facet's Bold Blooms, Quilts and Other Work Celebrating Flowers, which I thought was quite appropriate. This is the cover. I came with the paper cover, but I took it off because I loved this. And this is one of his fabrics. You can take fabrics that he made in, this is, oh, needlepoint. That's what else he does. I mean, look at these. Here's the pattern right here. This is in his house. I mean, he just has gorgeous. His quilts always represent a city, a country, an area of the world. And then he kind of focuses on some beautiful gardens or seaside or more markets. I mean, he does do beautiful needlepoints. His fabric dealer, for lack of a better word, is, oh geez, they're based in Charlotte. Free Spirit, which he definitely is a free spirit. And I mean, just look at this. This is called seed packets, and it looks like a flower packet of seeds. A packet of seeds for flowers. And these are all his fabrics. I mean, the quilts are photographed beautifully. His knitting is photographed beautifully. He told me this in person, that he discovered Kate Moss because he was one of the very first people to use her as a model. She was a model for one of his knitting projects. Yep. See, this is fabric. This is the cover. I mean, he's been in the Victoria and Albert Museum. He's been all over the world, on the BBC all the time. He was born in Big Sur in California. His parents have a restaurant. His parents had a restaurant there. Now cousins or siblings of some kind run it. It's called an Epiphany. It's a very famous restaurant. My grandparents used to go there in the 50s and dance, when you could still do all that. And he moved to England as a very young, this is him, very young. He's in his late 80s or mid to late 80s. And he went to England right after he got out of college, I believe. And he's never been back to California to live. He now designs ribbons too. I mean, but this is him painting this ribbon right here. I mean, he's a beautiful, beautiful designer. And anything you buy like in 1998 goes with something that you bought in 2025. They all kind of just, in my opinion, they all kind of are the best of colors and they all go together. And he is a huge proponent of describing things romantically. And when I don't mean romantic as in love. I mean romantic as in just flowing, and he uses these words that are this long to describe something. I've taken a class with him because his Free Spirit, his fabric broker in the United States is, I think all over the world, is in Charlotte. He every once in a while will have a talk, a lecture, or a class in the Charlotte area. And I took one right before COVID, it was a 2-day class. And it was in a ballroom type setting in a hotel. And we all were in the same hotel. And then you had these huge conference rooms, and they had all these tables set up, and we did all these quilts. I mean, there's one particular pattern, which was diamonds. And he's been teaching the same class for years. But he will go around and he'll say, now, the lavender of this shade reminds me of a field in France, and it needs to be next to something else that might be like pink that would represent a girl's pinafore in a Paris dance hall. I mean, that's how he would talk. Just goes on and on and on. And my mom and I went to a lecture in Asheville, maybe 15 years ago of his. And he talked like that then too. I mean, he's always been like that. This is his house in England. But he's just a genius with color, I believe. So that's who we're doing today. And I believe he and Rex Ray, there might be some competition between the two of them. Because I do believe they're both have a great sense of color. And I seem to feel like, not that I ever met him, but Rex Ray is very strong and how can I say this in a complimentary way? Set in his ways of his art, and Kay Fassett is too. So there may not be intermingling, and they may not take each other's advice in person, but I'm pretty sure they would listen to each other's advice and go, maybe 2 days later, go, I wonder. That's how I think they would interact with each other. The fact that Rex Ray was born in, I think, Germany, but because his father was military, and then they lived in Colorado almost all his childhood. And he moved to San Francisco. Kay Fassett left Big Sur, which is just south of San Francisco, around the Monterey area, and left San Francisco as at the same age group, kind of, within a couple years of each other, and then went to England and never came back except for visits. I find that interesting, how one left, one went. And I just think they may not be best of friends, but I think they would respect each other as artists, in my humble opinion. I think that's what would happen. So I'm going to get my book, and I am going to replicate this in a Rex Ray style, but these colors, maybe blue and white, blue and pink polka dots, fuchsia, orange, yellow, huge in his fabric. And since I've been moving my room around again, much to my husband's dismay, I have the same fabric in his fabric 2 or 3 times at least. And almost all my fabric is Kay Fassett. Just because that's what I love. I find that, believe it or not, versatile. And when I say versatile, I mean it all goes together. You could make it in any kind of pattern. To me, I think it all works. So when I made this accordion, I knew I was going to need a lot of room. So apparently, because when I did that, I didn't know I was going to use this book. Should I? Somehow I got my own hair underneath this tape. Let's just start off with blue and put pink polka dots on it. Maybe. I need to go through my bin of paper. It's on the floor right now because I don't have any place to put it currently. Oh, we could use this. It's not the right color. It doesn't have to be exact. I definitely will use those. I could probably use that. And that. Maybe that. Ooh, perhaps that. That. Maybe I'm just going to, I can't possibly use white. I think he would be highly insulted if I used white. He does have a partner in business and in life, Brandon. And Brandon is a fabric designer too with Free Spirit. And he's a little bit different. Ooh. That will work. His style is the same bright colors a lot of times, but he does a lot of, ooh, that's too thick. That's watercolor paper. He's a little bit more elaborate with not always flowers, is what I should say. Okay, well, I got a little bit better idea of what's in this basket, but I don't find it so Oh shoot, I just spilled the whole basket on the floor. Oh well. I don't have any kind of paper that I could put over this. Maybe I won't. Maybe I don't want to cover up what's here. Put a pillow on my chair that I found in here. And I'm going to trip myself up on this stupid thing, so I'm taking it out. Okay. All right, let's start out with, I don't know if I want to just do all circles. I mean, that would be easy for sure. I don't know if I want to be easy. Oh, this is pink with blue dots. The reverse. I love that. Okay. This is mixed media, so it's going to be a little thick. I'm trying to think how I could cut these in columns and put them in here. Let me see if I can do that. This one will be easy. But this one's going to be tricky. Maybe I'm going to just have to do that. Okay, I'm going to have to cut these off to make it the width of the paper. This is my favorite. You just got to come in with a plan. Remember, I don't teach because I usually don't know what I'm doing. But you got to come in with a plan of things such as a designer. You got to come in with some kind of prompt list. When I say plan, that's what I mean. Okay, I'm going to cut these off. Usually I like these, but... And then you can create... I am able to... It's not always successful, and it's not always... apparent as to what it is, but... It is apparent that I had fun making it, and that's the goal. Okay, now I need to make sure I have these off the fold. That's going to be another problem. Okay, this one will go here. This is going to go here somehow with this. Okay, so there's that fold. This one's going to go here. This one's going to go here. Okay. This one's going to go here. Actually, it's going to have to be trimmed down a little. And again, this is able to be accomplished. In my head, it's accomplished because I have a huge stash of paper that I have painted. I saw somebody, oh, there's a lady in England. I can't remember her name. But she is an actual artist, and she is got a big following. But she does a lot of working, not Gainer. She does a lot of work in sketchbooks, and then she transfers it over to paintings. But a lot of it is a lot of repetition, and it's not unlike Rex Ray's, I have to say. I feel. But and Rex Ray said the same thing. When you're not inspired, there are days when you're not ready to do this. I think because I don't know what I don't know. I don't know what I don't know. I have a little bit better I don't want to say ability because I have no ability, but I have a better ability to just go for it. And I don't have to worry about a manager saying, no, you can't do that. I don't have to worry about a fan base saying you can't do that. I do what I want to do. If that's not apparent yet, I do. Okay, I'm going to glue these down. And then we're going to see where we go from here. I'm not sure yet. Actually, I think I'm going to tape them because they're mixed media paper, which is a little bit thicker. And it's an accordion. So, but on down days where they don't have inspiration, they don't have time, they don't have this, they've got to do, whatever, you could be drained, they do repetitive work. And Rex Ray did the same thing. That's when he did a lot of his painting of his background papers. That's when he did a lot of the cutting out and the gluing of all those little dots that I called them necklaces, that he put on some works. He just did a lot of repetitive work, whether it was gluing these tiny little dots to something, painting tons and tons of background paper. When I don't have anything in my head, which does happen sometimes, but not often, just because I think I don't know what I don't know. And I'll sit here and paint magazine paper. And this, go back and then paint something, another layer on it. And then go back and paint another layer on it. And oh, by the way, the next week I might paint another layer on it. I haven't done that in a little while. And I feel like, and I feel like each stack that I do always has something going on from the last couple projects. I definitely will have circles, of course, and probably flowers, more of this kind of stuff going on. Because I've been around it for the last 2 months now, almost. And still have not gotten bored by it. You guys might be, but I'm not. And again, because I don't know what I don't know, making my own prompt list like this, which could be the same prompt list. I've done the same kind of stuff with influences from artists, history, whatever, like I'm doing this time. I've done this before with a lot of the same people. But sometimes, now this is true. I've heard other artists say this. Not everything is going to be a masterpiece. And I'm not looking for masterpieces. I'm looking for fun. And just like my artist statement said for quilting, cutting up pieces of paper, gluing them down into other shapes, cutting those up, gluing them onto something else, to me, is very therapeutic. And if I had a younger back, if I had no husband or any kind of life, which right now I've chosen to back out of most of my activities just because of the political climate in South Carolina, which is sad, but it's to preserve my sanity. They don't get the privilege of being around me as much as I used to be around. But it's just no point in going around and coming home from a fun activity and being, bent out of shape and grumpy and highly insulted. And like, how can these people think like this? Kind of questions for, the next 24 hours is not my idea of fun anymore. And I'm at an age where I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to do it. So I just have backed out of a lot of things. So you guys are more of my social life than anything. I do some stuff still with family, and that's great. And I think some of them assume we feel like they do, and then others do feel like we do. And we just move on. But anyhow, speaking of moving on, but this gives me great joy. I don't think, this is sad to say, but I don't think I would be a happy person considering the political climate in the last 10 years, in South Carolina especially, if I did not have this. And y'all, truthfully, I would not be a happy camper. Okay. I think what I'm going to do is get a blue pen. I think this would be the right one. Yeah, I think I want this. Now, ow. Ooh, I got stuff under this table, and now I just banged my knee on something. Ouch. Okay, I'm going to take this bravely. Ooh, it's not quite the same, but it's close. Now, does it bother me that tomorrow I'm going to have to repeat the same length of something? No. And believe it or not, the 2 people on this concertina were not planned when I made the concertina. I had forgotten what was my list. And I am so glad that these 2 people made it to this concertina, where they get a little bit more space. And if you've been around and seen these kind of lists, you probably know who's coming tomorrow. Now, even though this doesn't have any pink on it, I'm okay. It's starting to blend, in my opinion. It's not perfect. It's not camera ready, even though it's on a camera. But I like it. Now, I'm going to see if I can do something in the red right there. Oh, this comes out more orange on here. Maybe I should get out red paint. Oh, here's some paint. Nope, I got some right here. Okay. Oh, but I don't have any water. Ay, ay, ay. Hold, please. Okay. My paintbrush is dirty, so my paint water is already dirty. All right. I think I'm just going to use this plate real quick. It's not going to take much because it's a tiny little guy. Tiny little space. I wonder if I have a dry paintbrush. This is a very transparent red. I wonder if I have another kind of red. Airbrush paint. I don't know how I got this. Nope, that's pink. Well, that's okay. Can't get it to come out. This bottle doesn't squeeze. My red's not doing what I want my red to do. Is this the same brand? No, this is a different brand. Let me see what happens here. Plus, it might be a little older. That's always a good thing. Well, none of them are doing. And it's not little anymore either, is it? That's a little better. Oh, you know what? I bet you will be really good. Should I do this? If anybody deserves this, It's K-Facet. I could use my Liquitex acrylics. Ooh. That's a little thin too. But this is soft body, I think. What is this one? Fluid. So that's a little thinner. Okay, but that is going to be okay, I think. But then I need a really bright, light pink. Gonna just mix some white in with this. I don't think there's any white in here. Oh, there's pink right there. Too late. Okay. I know it's not dry yet, but I'm going to try to rush it. Exactly the same. But K-Facet is going to do what K-Facet wants to do. AKA, this is what is happening today. I don't think we're bringing out a lot of Rex Ray, but again, they may stick to their guns on their own creativity. And I think K-Facet would be more thrilled with this. I know I am. Sorry, I didn't mean to screech in your ears. That was kind of gross. I love it. I love it. Oops, I better not put green right there, though. Okay. K-Facet is very set in his ways, even if Rex Ray's around. That's my story. I think I might try to add a little bit more blue. Is this the one I used? I feel like I need another dot, or at least a partial, or maybe one right in here. Maybe a little one up here. And one going off over here. Maybe another one going off over here. I like this. It might be a little crazy to some. Sometimes crazy is pretty good. I think that's gonna be it. I love it. And it reminds me of one of my favorite people, K-Facet. Oh, and our birthdays are a week apart. Not the same year. Close, but not the same year. So that's another good reason. Oh, man. That was fun. That was fun. Okay, Rex Ray, we're coming for you tomorrow with another one of my favorites. Yep, you guessed it. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow. Bye.